of a lot of people talk about Lemuria as this beautiful crystal city, and it's so shiny and bright and yummy, and the memories of dolphins and the sea animals, and just like temple spaces with big white pillars and bright light, and this beauty. And there is a lot of beauty, and there was a lot of beautiful mountains and aspects, but there was also a lot of the original fragmentation just in the constructs of the patriarchy. So to that level of divine union that we all desire with ourselves, and I believe all of us desire it at some level with another being as well, and then with all of humanity in its connection at the root, has not been something that come on, work, stay stay has not been something that's been possible in our on our earth, based on the original 12 families. So to make sense of that, and why this is important for you as the rise of the feminine, is that there's never been a point in time in history where women have been equal with men. We are designed differently, so that's important to know, but the equality of the yin and the yang, the equality of the individual vessels of being a female and in the divine feminine pillar, in all the unique medicine. Okay, I'm gonna put my crappy camera on. Where is it? It's not even on here. Why is it not even on here? Mercury retrograde, have you got me? Yeah, there we go. So the pillars, the divine feminine energy and the divine masculine beings, the reason that it wasn't that the vessels were made as one was better or one was worse, right? There was just that they're different abilities, different breeding, women are the creation center. There's no need for me to explain the difference between men and women. You understand that. So, but in regards to the original plan, or the original royalty, and how that looked, is that the men that came through as the kings of these 12 families, they actually had a higher evolved consciousness. So their frequency and their consciousness was from a higher point of dimensional awareness. So they journeyed more, they'd cultivated more as a being, and then they came into their physicality. The women had not. They did not have as evolved frequency and awareness that had come through as the female representative. And so what that created, without recognition, because it wasn't actually something that was necessarily planned as in the ether, but more when it landed in the physicality of the human experience, was that the woman knew hierarchy, right? So there is a hierarchical structure of evolution, and that it is, God trumps all, right? Because God is the most evolved expression. It's the creator of all things. So when it comes to leadership, or when it comes to these constructs, there's going to be beings that have a higher evolved awareness, that you know from your own awareness of your own experience that they know something more than you, right? So there was this, in the knowing of how the universe works, the women were happy to be in service to a more highly evolved energy signature. The challenge is that then when you land in a physical separation, that became distorted and not clean and clear. And so these kings, these rulers with a higher evolved consciousness, it didn't matter really how evolved their consciousness was, because that separation point from source had already been created through the physical, and then the forgetting, and then layers upon that. So that's the original patriarchal construct, was that it wasn't that men were better or anything like that. It was just that they had a higher evolved consciousness in these 12 families, and the women were to support them as they just weren't as evolved, and they wanted to learn and be of service. Now what we're moving into, and why there's this communion and conversation around the rise of the feminine, which has been something that's been spoken into for years. And we've seen it in a lot of toxic, unconscious ways, and we've seen it in many different formations, is that for us to come into true divine union, not just with ourselves, but with a divine counterpart, we need to break down the constructs that were there from the beginning in relation to the feminine not being of equal consciousness to the masculine or the men representatives on the earth. And so these constructs are crumbling, and in that original recognition, so for all of us that are doing this inner work, and we're looking at these dynamics, whether they're in your physical 3D reality, whether they're going into your past lives and you're seeing where you've had your power taken and stripped by man, or where you've been in devotion. There's a lot of, currently, there's a lot of oracles that are remembering where they've given their power up in devotion for a king or an empire, and that they've been used, abused, created technologies that have wiped out innocent people, and that their abilities have been weaponized, and so there's a lot of fear in relation to being of service, one, and also the reclaiming of the abilities of, yes, I do want to serve man, I do want to serve God, I do want to serve humanity, but I'm not going to be serving in the way that I've been conditioned or have done in the past, in the continual breakdown of what that is and what's been created. And so this rise of the feminine and the goddess energy is very, very present, because those trauma constructs that were created in Lemuria have really started, those trauma constructs that have been that were created in Lemuria have been purified and reconciled.